Hey everyone, Mrhappy here, and welcome to Mondays with Mrhappy, aka Mrhappy Mondays, a weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. No, this isn't part of some elaborate April Fool's joke. I was just doing a podcast. I was on Frosty's Mog Talk, and we were talking about Seven. So I decided to at least wear the top part of my soldier getup. I didn't do my hair or anything like I had for the 1 week, but it was like, I was just like, whatever. It's like 5 p.m. I need to get to recording my weekly Q&A. It would take me 2 minutes to take this off. But what the heck, people will see it in the thumbnail and be like, why is he wearing that for this video? And then they'll click, I don't know. That's just what it's there for. I want to get through this quick because like I said, I'm already, my day's time is kind of just drifted away. 3 hours towards 7, my usual stream hours. And I've really only had a protein shake and like 2 bananas and like a rice cake or 2 today or something. So I want to actually go cook something and just chill for a little bit. So I apologize if I kind of blast through some of these a little bit quicker than usual. Before I go any further, speaking of food, I'm doing another sponsorship over on the Twitch side of things, but sometimes I like to bring those over here. This isn't like a paid insert or anything like that. But there's a HelloFresh subsidiary called Factor, which they make pre-made meals that you just order so you don't have to do any cooking or anything. It's pretty good. I've done it before. I've ordered them quite a few times, and I have a 50% off thing going on over on Twitch. So if you want to try that out, you can look into it. You can ask questions about it for next week. You can do whatever you want, but I'll include a link to that for the next couple of weeks in the description of the video. So if you want to try it out, it directly supports the channel, and it'll make for something to at least keep in the back of your mind for when Dawn Trail comes out, because I'm probably going to do it when Dawn Trail comes out. I want to have some meals tucked away just to make sure that I have an easy time, because Prog Stew alone will probably not be enough that week. And I don't want to be ordering out every other day. So with that in mind, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Don't forget, you can ask questions in the comment section for next week's episode. And let's get into seeing what people had from last week. Oh, and thanks to the sponsors over on Patreon as well. Nobody has to support. As long as you enjoy the video, ask questions, like it, whatever, that's good enough. But there's always the extra support options like that and super chats. Anyway, with that, let's get into the actual Q&A. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Fool. I sure do look it. Hey, Haps. Hi. The other day you shared on your Twitter that you were kidnapped by carnies as an infant. Is it all right if I ask the details? Is there more to that story? Yeah, they weren't just some random carnies. My grandmother, she didn't have great mobility, and she was babysitting me as an infant. And so she brought one of her friends that was basically looking for a job at that point. And so she wanted to make a few extra bucks. So she was giving her some of the babysitting money that she was getting. And they said they were taking me for a walk and then just never came back. And I was only gone for like a little bit more than half a day by the time I was found. But yeah, that's pretty much the entire story. Not much more to it, but that was a random Aloha. What, dude? Listen, I gotta finish this video. You can't. Aloha's meowing at me under my desk. You probably can't hear it, but I'm trying to pet him with my feet while I'm answering this. But that's really it. And my mother would never let me out of her sight my entire childhood because of that. And I don't think anyone's surprised by that. Hashtag Mondays with Mrhappy. Hey, Hap. Hi. It's been a while since I asked a question. I'm hoping you can share some words of encouragement or guidance. Well, I'll give you honest words, and hopefully they line up with that. So I've been progging Uwu for a couple of weeks now. I'm currently on suppression, and I've seen enough that I can clear the fight. Issue is the PF is very inconsistent. Oh, you can say that again. And I've seen a lot of people do C4, so I'm trying to best not to do that, as it seems like a carry from what it seems. Not really. No matter what, you need to know the mechanics. So I like things like suppression, you can't really get away with not knowing. So even though Uwu is easy, just do a C4 party. Nobody cares. Like, everybody's at some point, unless you're like in like a cutting edge group where you're really willing to like endure like tens of like dozens of hours. Like, there's been so many people I know who have gotten their first clears through C4 clears, and the only people who really complain about it are people who don't raid and are mad that they're not good enough to even join the C4 parties. So they just take it out on other people. I will say this though, there is something. If you flaunt an ultimate title and you mess up, you're going to get flack no matter how skilled you are. So if you're making regular mistakes and like you're not actually good enough to beat these fights and you get the clear in that regard, that can just lead to a little bit worse of a situation. But if you've learned it all and you can do it all, then you're not going to run into that problem in the first place. I've made a friend and we're both tanks, me MT and him OT, and I've noticed a lot of legends, I mean all types that play, I'd say are not very good. What do you recommend to do? We're both losing our sanity. Just do the C4 party. It really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you as a player are either good enough to have the title or you're not good enough. And, some people who aren't good enough still have the title. But that's besides the point. It's kind of doesn't even matter. Nobody I know who does like week 1 ultimates or hardcore, they don't even care about the title anymore. It's like not even an ultra relevant thing to us, because the people who will see it for the most part are people who will never even attempt that kind of stuff and almost use it as like a mocking nature. It's really, really strange to have bad players who mock good players for having a legend title. And like, if they make any sort of mistake, that says like legend, by the way, like that's a real thing. That's not even a meme. That's a real thing. But it's just one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, where like casual players who can't do it get mad at people who have the title, because it's maybe, I don't know, maybe they think we're making Square make hard content they can't do. So they think it's taking, like, that's gotta be it, right? It's gotta be it. It's that or jealousy. I don't know what it is. Just get your title, just do your C4 clears, just you and your friend work together and you'll be fine. It won't be that big of a deal. I think you're thinking too much into it. Hashtag Mr. Happy East. That's right. It is also Easter, the damn record. I keep forgetting that. It's like the 3rd time I've had to be reminded today. Read the middle 2 words above for your greeting. You know what? I like it. As we head towards Dawn Trail, I've been slowly getting back into DSR prog, but then thought about Criterion and wondered your opinion on the following. Based off of your experience, how would you rate Variant, Criterion, and Criterion Savage in comparison to other difficulties? Variant is like normal mode, but some boss mechanics might actually kill you if you don't know what you're doing. But, and by normal, I mean normal mode dungeons. Sorry. Actually, not even a normal mode raid. Like normal mode raid and normal mode dungeons are like the same thing. I guess there's no hard mode dungeons anymore, but you know what I mean? Just dungeons and normal mode raids. Criterion is like Savage, and Criterion Savage is just like Savage, but you're never allowed to die. I wouldn't go so far. In terms of testing your endurance levels, Criterion Savage is like ultimate, because you need to be able to play for 20 plus minutes near flawlessly. And if you fail, you go all the way back to the beginning. But in terms of the actual difficulty, it's exactly the same as Criterion, except the trash hits harder and the bosses have more health and do a little more damage. So it's really just like a Savage plus almost. And 2, would you change it? Yeah, I think the idea that people have had where Criterion Savage is actually just straight up harder and isn't an endurance check is one I'm perfectly okay with. I also want Criterion Savage to include the bonus bosses from Variant that don't get included in Criterion now. So I think there's ways to improve it. I don't think it needs to be this big endurance challenge. I think it could be more interesting, but I'll still do it all the same, so it won't matter to me. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Haps. Hi. Thanks for answering my questions last week. No problem. 2.5 questions. Well, better than 2.5 questions than 2.5 men. Do you think that the source will completely be revealed in 8.0? No, I don't think so. I'm not 100% convinced we're going to Mara City, and I'm not 100% convinced Mara City is where necessarily the new stuff ends. There's a bunch of stuff we still haven't seen that are more like smaller locations, and heck, Garlemald is even still covered, and pretty much most of Ilsebard we haven't even been to. So no, I don't think so. And when the source is completely revealed, do you think they'll add an overworld map for Flight Mountain? If you mean like a Final Fantasy VII style overworld map, no. That's literally, you'd have to make a completely different game to even do that. How do you feel about Disciple of War healers and Disciple of Magic tanks? Utterly pointless. An utterly pointless distinction. First of all, they're not Disciples of Magic if they're tanks. They're Disciples of War. Can they have magic skills? Sure, Paladin and Dark Knight do. But if you're a tank, you're a Disciple of War. And same with healers. If you're a healer, you're a Disciple of Magic. It doesn't matter what it is. Now, if you mean melee healers and caster tanks, utterly pointless. You need to be able to function at exactly the same ranges as every other tank and healer that's available. You can't be exclusively good at melee range, and you can't be exclusively good at far away. You can't. You need to be functional in all the same ways. Now, can you have a tank that has all magic? Sure. Can you have a healer that has like maybe a melee skill or 2 when they have to be close up for? Sure. But no, a healer needs to be functioning at all range. They can't be forced to function at close range. And I don't know where the half a question came from. I don't even see another half a question, so I don't know where that is. Hashtag Monday with Mr. Happy. Hi, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope we're doing well. You too. I have 2 questions. I hope they don't take too long to answer. 1, I just finished your latest State of the Realm Unsimplifying 14 with Arthur's. Think about your comment on trying to solve an issue with Bard and ending up simplifying it. You also mentioned Dragoon's jumps during the show. It got me thinking about the responsiveness of the fairy for Scholar. How do you decide which quirks of a job are chances for players to persevere and show their skill, and which ones are actual problems that need to be addressed? The big problem is that there's no no way to completely separate them. Because the answer is that every problem should technically be addressed, but how you address it is the answer. So like, if, for example, if Scholar's fairies are clunky, you have two options. You can modify the Scholar's fairy to make it less clunky and more usable, or you can get rid of it. And Square's more the people who would sooner get rid of an option than really go all the way through with fixing it. I mean, that's essentially what they did with Summoner. Pets didn't work super well, so they effectively got rid of pets. And I think that's the problem, is the team has always taken what is the most bottom of the barrel route when it comes to certain changes, and that's led to the rapid nature of oversimplification. So I think they need to dial back on that particular way of reacting to feedback. Look for an actual solution and not the shortcut that everybody kind of just goes, you know what? Nobody likes the Scholar Fairy. Just get rid of controlling it. It's like, no, you can make it more fun. You can make it more responsive. Like if your fairy, if all of your GCD skills just came from your fairy, but they acted exactly like all of your other skills and they were instantly responsive, then suddenly you've managed to maintain a fairy that feels completely like just an extension of the player without it being like lagging behind because you're issuing an option. Now, is that possible on their engine? I couldn't say, but there's always a solution, and the solution isn't always to just get rid of it. So I don't want to say my answer is the right answer, but there are right answers out there. And two, I remember that after Monk got a mini rework near the end of Shadowbringers, it got reworked into the current state. Yeah, they what in 5.4, they essentially gave it a foundation, and then they gave it an identity in 6.0. I think the same thing will happen to Paladin. No, but Paladin has so many buttons. I don't even want to think about what's going to happen to Paladin. Paladin did not get a groundwork level change in Endwalker. It got made more usable in the 2-minute meta. That was the purpose of the change. And I don't know what they're going to do. I don't even want to guess, because Paladin, I don't know. I don't see the path forward. Hashtag Mr. Monday Happy. Good morning to you, Mr. Happy. Afternoon for me, but good morning to you now. And hope all are well. So after hearing what OCP said at PAX East panel, I get that he is wanting to bring more group content to bring back the MMO aspect of 14. That does not mean they will still support people who want to do as much as possible as a solo player. Am I misinterpreting? I'm not really sure what you mean, because most of Final Fantasy XIV is solo in the sense that you can queue into the Duty Finder alone. You can enter a PF alone. Like, you don't need to have connections or know people to do anything in the game, but you're still going to be doing group activities. But they're not going to suddenly make it so that you can't do the story without other players, in the sense that, like, you know how WoW has group quests? Like, you need, it recommends 3 people to beat this quest, or it recommends 5 people to beat. That's not going to happen. It's going to be an instance a dungeon has 4 people, a trial has 8 people. Good luck. You know, an alliance raid has 25. Like, those fundamental bits are never going to change. They just don't want to keep making things like Island Sanctuary, which are literally mass solo activities, or just activities like that you will basically never feel any incentive or any benefit or any desire at all to really interact with another player. They want you doing things that, even if you're playing alone, you still have to do so as part of a mass of people. Would it be possible in the rework the jobs to make simple by reducing the amount of buttons but still make them challenging? I think you can't, with how slow 14's GCD is relative to the rest of the world. I don't think you can have the GCD. I don't think you can reduce the skills that significantly unless you increase the, like, if Summoner's GCD was only 1 for all of its skills and then it had like a 2-second cast on the Ifrit stuff, it would probably feel a lot better to a lot of people. But that's not true of every job. Like, if you tried to do that on Monk, if you tried to do that on Paladin, if you try to do that on like Dragoon, it becomes a disaster. So I think there needs to be a degree of busyness that's probably in the 20 to 25 button range. Now, that's not active pressing all the time buttons. That's like usable buttons within an encounter. I don't see how you go that far below that without getting a summoner situation where everything is way too simple. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Haps. Hi. Hope you're doing great. You too. I have a tough to answer question. I'll be the judge of that. I played 14 off and on since Realm Reborn, meaning Monk, Ninja, and Machinist. I haven't played since the first patch of Shadowbringers. Wanted to come back, but unsure what to play. Your opinion is, what is good to jump into job for Dawntrail? The answer is there is no answer, because we don't even know what the jobs will be like in Dawntrail. So you just need to pick a favorite, or if you can't pick a favorite, then just like throw a dart at like a dartboard with the names on it and just go with that. Because until we have the combat changes, nobody knows what's going to be good going into Dawntrail. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hello. Hi. Howdy. Hi. Two ultimate related questions. One, do you think Fru might be more of a story fight like DSR? It has to be. I don't see any other way to do it, in all honesty. Yeah. I also think there's not going to be nearly as many Eden bosses in there as people think. I genuinely think it's going to be mostly Oracle of Darkness, Shiva, and Eden. Like, I don't think you're going to see any of the primals in terms of like actual individual bosses other than Shiva. I think they're just going to show up as part of the E12 phase, whatever it is. And two, do you think any other side content can make for oh, there's tons of ultimate ideas. Even just Gilgamesh would make for a great ultimate idea. Just not the Stormblood MSQ, which I'm glad they skipped. But yeah, I've been waiting for Warring Triad, Four Lords, Crystal Tower, you know, the Void Scent, like whatever. There's tons of great ideas. I just don't know when they'll ever break habit other than skipping the Stormblood MSQ. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Happy. Hi. What camp are you in for Beastmaster's weapon? Whip or axe? I'm not going to lie. I'm not even convinced they're going to get like a traditional weapon. It depends on what the gameplay nature is. Like everyone's assuming it'll be exactly like Blue Mage, where you largely just, you know, your gameplay system is just different, but you still just do all the normal content. I'm not 100% convinced it's going to work that way, but I wouldn't be surprised if they just had like a whistle to tell monsters what to do. And that's it. Like, I don't think you can even say there's one of two camps, like whip or axe, something like. There's like 5 or 6 different things that are perfectly logical. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi, Haps. Hi. Hope you're doing great. I'm doing all right, though I've been talking for basically almost 12 hours straight at this point. So, like I said, let's go along. Realizing I've been watching your stuff since Heaven's Word, it feels a bit weird. 9 years. That's a lot of years. Thank you. For my question, I wanted your opinion on something. I watched your video about rewards in Dawntrail, and on the Fate part, I had an idea. Fate farming is the most monotonous thing ever because they're too easy and samey, and Fates always give you the same amount of gemstones. So to make it more interesting, why not have gemstones be as challenge log rewards, since EXP becomes worthless, and have the number of gems dropped influenced by the EXP boost and Forlorn buffs? Yeah, you could do that, but it doesn't really change what you're actually doing, Fate-wise, which I think is really the core problem, which is why I think you kind of just need better rewards for the people who are willing to do it. And that's it. Like, could you do these things? Yeah, I see no argument against them, but I don't think they're the core problem. I think genuinely it's just what you can actually get with gemstones that needs to be the top priority. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope you're well. Doing good. First time asker, but I was looking through your rewards video and there's been something I've thought about for the longest time. They should look into adding new change pose or see pose animations. You know what? I completely agree. Animations, I mean, we have emotes as rewards. Alternate animations, persisting animations that are options to things right now that have options is a good idea. Perfectly acceptable, perfectly likable, incentivized, able to be put in a variety of different contents. Perfectly good idea. I see no reason to argue against it. More things is good, and more player expression is always good. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi. Hi. You doing good? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. You doing good? I'm doing good. My FC and I were discussing our wish list for level 100 skills, and our idea for Summoner got me excited enough to comment and ask what you think. I'm not great with what you think comments because just because I play the game a lot doesn't make me any more of an authority on people's ideas. Like I'm either supporting the idea or I'm crushing your dreams. And I'm not going to hold back. Like it's going to be one or the other. Our summoner thought we'd get a 4th summon for the Eggy phase, but without changing the timing, we didn't get any idea of what the summon was, just that it would be more mobile than Ifrit. The thing is, I don't think that's the answer. I don't think just having a 4th summon fixes the fundamental gameplay issue Summoner has of being a 2-button job, which I think is more important than going deeper into the job fantasy. Now, I think you should do both simultaneously. But I think the bigger problem is the actual, and to be clear, I don't think the job needs to be that complex. But even amongst the other of simplest jobs in the game, it is like the bottom of the barrel in terms of engaging. So I would prefer to see something that actually adds to your job engagement versus just another summon, basically. Thought is here you have to make a choice of which of the 4 summons you would use in the time. Okay, the problem with that is there's only one correct answer 99% of the time. This is why we don't have like skill trees and stuff, because there's one correct answer almost all the time, and you just give people the ability to be wrong, essentially. And I don't think you should build that into a job as the opportunity to be wrong, if that makes sense. But yeah, no, I don't think this is the solution that Summoner needs. Hashtag Monday with Mr. Happy. Hi. In response to 2806, well, I don't know what that is, so let me read the rest. What do you think about implementing Guild Wars 2 system where the high-end content only checks the party? Oh, so yeah, last week I had a question that was, how did it go? It was people being able to just queue into high-level stuff. So here's the thing. I technically have no argument against if a party leader wants to introduce a low-level party member to something higher level. There are, something I didn't even touch upon last week was one other core issue with this idea. And it's the idea that you will suddenly be playing a completely different job. You would also need to build out a system that lets people practice on their job at any level. So if you're level 8, you can test out the level 90 stuff somehow. Or if you're level 73, then you can play at level 90. Like, there are kind of systems in the game that let you do that. Deep Dungeon lets you play up to level 60 even though you're low level. Yeah, like there's kind of ways to do that. But this needs to be, it's not just about building the ability to do this. It's building every other system that needs to be built to even allow this to be possible in the first place. Now, fundamentally, if those systems were already built and a friend wanted to show a new player or just a friend who just started playing a stuff they hadn't seen yet to get them excited, and they could only do it while queuing in with them. Yeah, I mean, I would be silly for me to argue against that particular idea, because there's basically consent across all parties that somebody who doesn't really know the game is entering something way later on. But I'll tell you that'll never happen because of the systems they would need to build around it. So unless they don't care about building the systems around it and they just did it and said, yeah, if you don't know how to use your job, too bad. Like, your friend consented to this, so we don't care. Yeah, I mean, if they go that route, but yeah, not a very likely one, I think. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Happy Monday, Mr. Hello. Works for me. Since the 2-minute meta is brought up a lot and people have different ideas on how to solve this issue, we already have something in the game that could be the solution. In PvP, we have personal LBs with different cooldowns that are most effective if the players align them correctly. I could see this in regular. Okay, so here's the problem. PvP LBs, for the most part, are essentially just cooldowns with a limit break gauge. It's the same as having a 2-minute cooldown, a 90-second cooldown, a 60-second cooldown. Instead of adding something that achieves the thing we want to achieve with all the other skills, we should probably just focus on the things that have already been that way in the past and have been changed to become that new thing. So I don't think that adding a button, so to put the full question into context, they use their personal LBs that are unaffected by buffs in order to make them independent of the 2-minute. It's still just essentially, then it makes buffs weird and useless. Because now, without making the changes that I talked about, and then also doing this, you just use these outside of buffs. And it's like, as soon as your pot window ends, you just press the button. Or right before your 2-minute window begins, you press the button. But then you still have to do the 2-minute window. So, I don't think that's going to do it. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Happy. Hi. All the best to you and yours. Same to you. I was wondering if they were ever going to add a way to switch jobs during cutscenes. No. Yeah, I'm trying to get through Endwalker. No. Wait, in the middle of a cutscene? Like, I don't know if I'm reading this correctly. No. That's never going to happen. Hashtag 13 Mondays until Dawn Trail with Mr. Happy. I like the way you think with the counting. How are you and the cats doing? We're doing good. Although they were just annoying the crap out of me earlier, but that's fine. 2 questions. 1, why can't Blue do ultimates? I've heard it's been stated somewhere, but I don't know where. Because they don't want to undermine the incredible difficulty that ultimates come with and the accomplishments of the players who have done them. And I want you to know that not a single one of us cares, and we actually want it and encourage it. So I don't know who they're actually appealing to with that one. And 2, has everyone stated why people can't do ultimates yet can do Savage on the free trial? We also don't agree with that. So no, we don't know. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Heyo, Haps, A, and a handful for any missed hellos. Was curious on what your thoughts were having healer damaging GCD sending out an AoE pulse of healing for each cast. No, because so healing is already too strong. If this would just make it stronger, it would give you even less reasons to want to ever GCD heal. So that would not accomplish anything. I really don't see a solution outside of making it so that either A, you need to GCD heal more because the game is scaled to it, or B, adding more skills that deal both damage and heal and put them in scenarios that make the decision between which to use more interesting. So that I really don't see another way around it. But if you do this, you're just making healing even more brain dead. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. No hello. We finally had the 0 hello person. 1, do you think it's necessary for 14 to keep holding on to outdated mechanics, stuff like guild hest, leave quest allowance, daily quest allowance, etc.? Well, so allowances in the terms of daily quests. Oh, no. You're not talking about daily reset. Sorry. Well, guild hest, I see no harm in leaving. And I assume the rest is technical debt because sometimes it is genuinely harder to remove something than it is to just leave it alone and pretend it doesn't exist, because it can pull out something else you didn't intend when you pull it out of the game as a whole. Now, they've done it before. It can be done. There's no reason to say it can't be done, but there's also no reason to do it. At least with guild hest, leave quests are there because they don't want you spamming leave quests endlessly. They want them to be a finite resource. They're definitely never going to change that as long as leave quests are in the game. Daily quests should only apply to current expansion Beast Tribe quests or tribal quests. There's no reason why the daily quest allowance applies to all the old quests, other than they built it that way and changing it would actually break a bunch of stuff. So you got me on that last one. How likely is it that they'll remove dot effects from Gunbreaker's Sonic Break and replace it with flat damage in a similar way to Goring Blade? I don't know, because Sonic Break... Oh, no. Sonic Break is the GCD. Okay, there's other problems that Gunbreaker has that is more important than this, but I wouldn't be surprised. So, yeah. You can put that on a reasonable projection for Gunbreaker in the next expansion. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi. What are your thoughts on some kind of Omni role or fill option for queuing? We've been asking for ages. It's been a long time request. Being able to ask, I would like to queue into the duty finder as all 3 of these roles, and whichever one fills, the game must tell me to swap to. Like, I would like it. I would love it. And to be fair, it's not that important, but I would prefer it. Like, I would like to be able to be like, oh, I'll go tank or healer. Whatever doesn't fill. And then it says, well, tank filled first. I'll be like, okay, that's it. I would love it. But I don't know. It's probably not very easy to do. Hashtag Mr. Happy with Mondays. Hi. Do you think we'll ever see the devs dropping job restrictions on glam pieces? I think they're warming up to the idea more and more. And I think they should continue to warm up to the idea. They add armor sets that it doesn't even make sense. Like, they say, oh, we don't want a healer looking like a tank. And I'm like, have you seen the PvP armor sets? Like, I get maybe they're thinking like, well, people know those are the PvP armor sets, so it doesn't matter. But I think that one restriction they'll never drop is like job exclusive gear. But at the very least, role exclusions, I think they could probably do away with specifically for glam at some point. But they've shown no inclination that they're going to get rid of this. Their main priority is making sure that all pieces can be equipped by both genders. That's definitely their higher priority, but I don't see them getting rid of this. Definitely not job restrictions, but even role restrictions, I don't think they're going to drop anytime soon. Looks like just a couple more here. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Good morning. What do you think of Raids Tomes EX dropping 2 chests or an item and chest as a set? Or have the item come with a token to get a counterfeit version with the same stats but a slightly different look? For example, instead of getting 1 helm chest from a savage fight, you get 2. So someone has to flex to another job. They are under-geared. I'm of the opinion that you should have until the end of the lockout to exchange the token for a different one. But after the lockout is done, locked in. Because I don't think you should let people super freely do whatever they want with gear. I think there needs to be some degree of limitation. Otherwise, you basically pick up one piece and everything, you have everything. You know what I mean? So there needs to be some finite end to it. But I see what you're saying to some capacity. But if it's gonna be a counterfeit version with the same stats, okay, so there's actually a different problem that comes into this. One, you might as well just give them 2 of the same piece, but make it so that you can hold up to 2 of the same piece, or up to 3, whatever. But more importantly, if the counterfeit version looks different, that's glam people want. People are going to be trying to get counterfeit glam. As crazy as that sounds, it's crazy. I think they need to make swapping during like mid-prog a bit easier, but you can't give away more free gear versus having a system that more easily lets you get the gear for the jobs that you need, whether that be more gearing options in the game, like having Criterion as another gearing option, or making it so you can, for a short period of time, exchange. Like if you clear the first 3 fights, right? And you're on the 4th fight, but like on Friday, one of your raid members has an emergency and they have to quit the tier, and you want to recruit for something. You have a few days at least to get someone that maybe you could flex for, and then somebody who got all the gear that we can be like, okay, I can do a full swap. That's fine. I think something like that is closer to a real possibility. Hashtag Monday with Mr. Mrhappy. Hello, Hap. Glad tidings to you. You know, I'm kind of nervous because this is at the very bottom of the video. And normally when something gets relegated to the bottom, it means YouTube thought that it was something that I shouldn't see. I'm curious because this actually has 2 upvotes. Is this actually just a case of it being the first comment? Let's find out. Currently having fun filling out my cards and fishing log and leaves. I'm glad you're enjoying that. That's something that you can do while buying time for the expansion. On top of balancing, there's been a lot of talk about how stats have maybe got a bit much, skipping some current content being a notable example. I agree. So here's a 2-parter. Do you think we'll ever have another stat squish or another one soon, or even it becoming, oh yeah, the answer to both is yes. Honestly, I don't think they'll squish in 8.0, but they really should. And they should have squished more the first time. If they're going to keep doing squishes need to be massive. We can't almost completely undo them in the very next expansion, which is basically what happened from Shadowbringers going into Endwalker. And as such, if you're going to keep doing it, then yes, it needs to be a recurring thing and you need to do it frequently. And when we eventually get another one, do you think they'll even out the near raids, maybe even tune up Circus Tower? I don't think they'll ever tune up the level 50 stuff. I think that there might be the unintentional consequence of changing things sooner or later, but not intentionally. And same with the near raids. I think once we're level 100, the near raids will be just as fast as everything else, and it won't be that big of a deal. But after another stat squish, yeah, I mean, honestly, no, even with being 20 levels under, even if they stat squish in 8.0, I think it'll still go really, really fast. So I think it's really only going to be the most recent expansion where things kind of lag on, which in this case would just mean Myths of the Realm might actually take a decent amount of time to do, and we wouldn't skip half the boss mechanics. So no complaint from me there. And yeah, that's the last question. The only other thing I want to comment on, I've never, and I even commented this before answering this. I've never been more confused in my life. I'm going to read this comment, and I want you to help me, please. As a lowest common denominator, poor player, this is my last Mr. Happy vid. The whole passive / diet Xenos wannabe elite feel grows old. But I've been playing since 1.0 and have been doing hardcore rating since 2.0. So I don't know where that comes from. Luck on your, not good luck, just luck on your channel. Remember that you're a content creator, so you have a lot of friends, in quotes, due to that. Your flawless playing with no melons and having done everything may push new subscribers away. Just some feedback. There's a comment under it that said, "What is bro yapping about?" And I agree. What happened here? What actually did I just witness and read? I don't know what just happened. I'm beyond confused. I got nothing. I want you to help me with that one. Chat, comment section. I need some help with that one. Anyway, I am exhausted. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for asking your questions in the comment section below. Be sure to ask your questions. And thanks again to Factor for sponsoring me over on the Twitch channel. But if you want to try it out here, again, ask questions for it next week if you have any. Or, you know, if you want to just do it, it benefits the channel greatly if you do participate. So I'm not going to complain. If not, no biggie. I'm just throwing it in there because I can. And you don't have to watch an actual ad for it like you do with some of the other things. So cool. Anyway, with that, I will see you all in the next Q&A. Be on the lookout for some more fun stuff this coming week. Oh, I know I didn't do the other channel announcements here. It's because I basically uploaded nothing. In fact, I think I did upload one Dragon's Dogma video, but I haven't updated the VOD channel this week, and I didn't remember when I even uploaded the most recent Dragon's Dogma video. I think it might have been Thursday or Friday, but I'll be back to that next week because I'm probably going to upload a few things to the other channels this week as well. Anyway, I'm going to go now. See you next week. Bye.